Let's move on to Dr. Harold Arkoff, CEO of OneSource Solutions International. He is with us here, so please join us, put your hands together for an exciting 10 minutes of great content. Go ahead.
You sure? Oh. How do we go back? Okay. Good morning. My name's Dr. Harold Arkoff, and my background is in biomedical engineering, surgery, and cardiac anesthesia. I am the CEO and co-founder of OneSource Solutions International. I'm going to speak to you today on critical care telemedicine. So I noticed yesterday when everyone refers to telemedicine, they're really referring to primary care. That's not my experience. I've lived in a hospital for more than half my life. And what we're going to talk about is something that I would refer to as connected health or connected healthcare. And what do I mean by that? I mean connecting the healthcare providers around a patient. I mean connecting the data from all the medical devices that are around the patient. And I mean getting the right data to the right person at the right time, and finally transforming that data into actionable information. And why is it that that's so important? Well, you know, the United States is exporting its healthcare system here to the Middle East, and in the U.S., during the last 2 weeks of one's life, more healthcare dollars are spent than from the time that person was born. And the third leading cause of death in the United States before COVID, according to Johns Hopkins, is medical errors in the hospital. And the question is, why? And with all this technology, what is it? Well, if you do a root cause analysis, it's a lack of communication. It's a lack of communication between healthcare providers. It's a lack of data that simply doesn't exist. And it's not getting the right data to the right person at the right time. So we've created what we call OneSource Connect. What I'm going to show you today is what we refer to as OneSource Connect RMS, a remote monitoring system. And as you can see here, we connect, this is a vendor-agnostic system that connects all the medical devices that you typically find in a hospital around a patient in real time. We can integrate video and synchronize it, as well as wearables. So it's medical device integration, presentation, and governance. So why is this important? I'm going to demonstrate. Here on the left is the status quo, and on the right is our OneSource platform. If you go into any intensive care unit, you're going to see multiple devices, and each one has its own screen. The only way to get to that information is to physically go into the room. If you go to the electronic medical record of any hospital, you're going to find a very limited data set. Typical ICU in the United States and with an EMR, 15 to 20 data samples. What we're talking about here is a magnitude of order greater. How much? We're talking more than 1,500 data samples per second, more than 6 million data samples per hour. For 30 critical care beds, you're talking more than 4 billion data samples in a 24-hour period. But why so much data? Well, the future is AI, and everyone refers to it. You know, and doctors are overwhelmed, and this is one of the reasons there are so many medical errors. The future is augmented intelligence. The idea that there's plenty of I've listened yesterday to data scientists. These data scientists are going to be able to mine this data because the data that's captured in real time is normalized, time synchronized to the millisecond in a format that they can analyze. They don't have to clean it. And there's structure, and I'll explain that in a little bit. But more importantly, the future is going to be that when a doctor comes to the hospital, they're going to get a weather report, a predictive analytics of the likelihood of an event happening during their shift. On the right-hand side, all this data is synchronized. So this is what I refer to as OneSource Connect RMS. And what I'm holding in my hand here is the entire infrastructure. All right? This can be rapidly deployed and scalable to any bed in the world. Every bed gets one of our IoT Internet of Medical Things gateway, and our software, which runs on a very inexpensive server, can manage 30 patients, 30 patient beds, and it will give you a virtual data anywhere, on your phone, on a tablet, on a dual screen, which I invite people to come by across the hall and take a look. But what you get here on the left-hand side is the world's first ventilator-centric central workstation. And on the right, you can do a deep dive into the data. What's also unique about this platform is that it's an open architecture environment. And why is that important? I listened to the speakers yesterday, and they asked, how could telemedicine in the future be improved? It's through shared stakeholders. I believe in that as well. This is an open architecture system, which means that others can access the data, write artificial intelligence for it, and after machine learning, convert it to algorithms and deploy it at the edge. And when a threshold is met, the system, not a nurse or doctor, will call the care provider, automatically notifying them of an event. So this is just a little larger view. Although I don't have a pointer, what this is showing in a very different from most central stations is high fidelity data from the ventilator. That is, we can show you the mode of ventilation, we can show you all of the settings of the ventilator, and more importantly, we show you what's happening in the past 60 minutes. When one is doing remote critical care, it's always about triage, being able to identify those who have a problem. So this is trending data for the past 60 minutes, because when you're on a ventilator, you both oxygenate and ventilate, and I'm happy to explain this in more detail over in my booth. But this is something very novel, so that literally I could train a 10-year-old, and they could sit in front of this monitor after 5 minutes of training and identify who's doing poorly, who's doing well, and who needs immediate assistance. The data can be displayed in multiple ways. You can see respiratory flow loops, trends, and actually the actual ECG down to instantaneous heartbeat. Here's the infrastructure, an architectural view of it, and basically the system this technology not only connects directly to the patient's bedside, but also to the PACS server, so it's a single login for seeing real-time DICOM images on your phone. No longer do you just have to take a picture of the screen. And as well as wearables and lab equipment. And of course, the data can go to the cloud. So to finish, I'm just going to give a quick, did you guys load the, there's another slide here. There's supposed to be a video here. All right. I'll have to, I had a video I gave them, but it's not here. So I would just welcome people to come by the booth, and you guys, can you load version 2 of the software if you have it? Let's try, okay. Will it play? All right, let's see if it'll play. So here's a little video just to show how 16 beds could look. You can zoom into a single bed and you'll see respiratory flow loops. All right, and then you can actually drill down and look at the data in a multitude of different ways. It's going to show, you can bring it up on your smartphone and see the same kind of data. You can see cause and effect between ventilator settings and the vital signs, which is novel, as well as see the ECG. We also have the ability through pattern recognition to recognize up to 70 different types of arrhythmias. That needs approval as class 2. As DICOM images, it's a zero footprint, you can take an image and actually reconstruct three-dimensional images and subtract the soft tissue to see the bony structure all on your phone. And then rotate it. So if someone was in a trauma accident, a trauma surgeon can see this right away and actually make a remote decision. The patient has to go to surgery. For an EICU, you have a single login and we can retrieve all of the data. So when you control the data and you control the communication, what you can do is quite powerful. So this is the concept behind all of this, is to create a community, a shared community, where all stakeholders come and can make the product better. So.
Excellent. Thank you, Dr. Harold. Let's put our hands together for Dr. Harold. Thank you. So again, time is limited. Q&As, we'll leave that at a later stage. Please do reach out to Dr. Harold in his booth and our other speakers.